Mr. Newby here. In the first video we went through general safety guidelines number 1 through 21, and in this video we'll be going through guidelines 22 through 41. If a tool or machine breaks, stops working, or you think the blade is dull, you need to let me know immediately so that I can fix that. So if you come up to a machine and you go to start it and it doesn't start, don't just leave and go do something else. Come let me know. If something breaks, let me know. Tools do wear out. Okay, let me know so I can replace it. If you think a blade is dull, let me know so I can sharpen it, replace it, something like that. Because dull tools are not safe. Sharp tools are safe. Before we make any adjustments on machines, we want to make sure they come to a complete stop. So turn them off, make sure that machine comes to a complete stop before you start adjusting the fence, the table, the blade height, the guard, anything like that. We always want to use the correct tool for the correct job. If we need a chisel to work on a piece of wood, we get a chisel. You don't try to use a screwdriver as a chisel. It's not sharp and it's not the intended purpose. We have hundreds of tools in the shop. They're all designed to do something and something specific, so you want to make sure you take the time to get the right tool for the right job. Those times in the shop where we need to use an extension cord and we unroll it and plug it in, we want to make sure we don't leave a big pile on the floor that can trip a student. So make sure the extension cord lies flat on the ground. Same thing for our air hoses when we're using our nail guns. Air hose needs to be lying flat on the ground, not draped across where it's a tripping hazard. When working in the shop, sometimes you're going to be lifting heavy objects. When you lift an object by yourself, make sure you bend your knees, keep your back straight, keep the object close to you, or ask someone to help. So when we're finished with tools and equipment, we put them back where they belong. When working in the shop, we want to make sure we keep our aisles and walkways clear of obstructions. In case of an emergency, we'll need to leave and exit the building. We cannot block those exits. So our main walkways and aisles need to be clear. We also want to make sure we don't walk up directly behind someone working on a machine for several reasons. This is the kickback zone. You'll learn about kickback zones when we talk about machinery and stuff like that. So if a student's working on a machine and you're right behind them and they don't see you and they're done, they turn around, you can get hit with a board. Just not a good place to be. So when you're coming up to wait to use a machine, come to one side or the other, not directly behind the student working. So when we're working in the shop, a bad habit is putting screws and nails and stuff like that in your pockets. They're going to poke your legs, you're going to forget, they're in there and take them. So do not put stuff in your pockets, okay? Tools in a pocket's not a good idea. My juniors and seniors all have aprons that they can put tools in. Other than that, you keep the tools out. When you're done with them, you put them back where they belong. When working on a machine, you want to keep all guards and safety equipment in place when possible. You do not want to move these and use the machine if possible. We need them in place. They're there to protect you. So remember, keep all guards and safety equipment in place when possible. We also never want to leave machines on. If you are using a machine and it's turned on and you forgot a piece of wood over on a workbench or in your locker or something, turn it off before you go and get that piece. Don't leave a machine on without someone here using it or watching it. Another thing is when you turn it off, you want to make sure it comes to a complete stop before you leave the machine. Okay, you might think you hit the button off and you didn't, and you walk away and it's still running. So never leave a running machine unattended. When you come to use a machine, you need to have a plan before you get there. You don't want to get here and then not know what to do. So you should be thinking about that. Just like when you're in the huddle in a football game and you get the play, you're thinking about what you have to do on that play, depending on your position. Am I going to block? Am I going to go out for a pass? Am I going to run the ball? All those things. So just like that, you need to think about what you're doing before you get to a machine and have a plan on how to use that machine before it's your turn. One of our most important rules out here is we always keep fingers 4 inches away from any cutter or blade. So when using a machine, it's not the size of the wood you're cutting, but where your hands are. 4 inches away at all times. When we have to cut a piece smaller than that, we will use a push stick to push the board through, keeping our fingers 4 inches away from the cutter or blade. When using a machine, we also don't want to force the wood into the machine. Yes, you have to push it through, but if you're forcing it, that can cause problems. If something gets stuck and you're pushing too hard and all of a sudden it releases, your hands go where you don't want them to. So push it through, yes, but don't ever force anything. If it's not cutting easy, something is wrong. Every machine also has a kickback zone. A kickback zone is if you let go of the board, where's that board going to get thrown? Because you have something spinning that's going to move that board. Most kickback zones are back at you, but it all depends on the direction that something's turning or spinning. So like on a table saw, the kickback zone's between the fence and the blade right here. So you don't want to operate the machine in the kickback zone. You always want to stand to the side. And when you're waiting for a machine, you don't want to wait in that kickback zone either. Also, when using any machines in the shop, you want to inspect the wood carefully before you process it through the machine. You want to make sure there's no staples or nails or screws. Anything metal will damage the machine and damage the cutters on the blades. Also, knots can be a problem. Not really in processing, but for your project later, and sometimes they chip and stuff like that. Not that we can't use boards with knots, you just have to be aware of them when processing them through machines. We never want to hurry in the shop. Make sure machines have reached maximum speed before you start processing. Most of our machines, when they're turned on, they get maximum speed within seconds. But you want to make sure full speed. Also, if you turn a machine off and it's coasting to a stop, do not try to use that machine. It will damage the material, damage the cutter, and could cause injury. The more you work in a shop, the more you'll understand how machines sound. If you turn a machine on and it doesn't sound right for some reason, could be lack of power, could be a bad blade, could be how it's set up, something like that. You should immediately turn it off. Come find me, let me know so we can see what the problem is. When working in the shop, you got to keep your mind on your work and focus. You cannot be distracted. The smallest distraction can lead to injury. You cannot be thinking about what you're going to eat at lunch, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, the game after school. All those distractions, you start thinking about them, you're going to stick your hand where it doesn't belong. So remember, you must concentrate and focus when working in the wood lab. When you're finished with the machine and you turn it off, never try to stop the blade or cutter with a stick or something. It's just being dumb. I mean, sticking something in there like that, kick it back, damage the machine, cause an injury. So we never want to try to stop something with a piece of wood or other material. Let it stop on its own. And remember, never leave a machine until the blade has come to a complete stop.